Good morning, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing a video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And I want to talk in this video about disambiguating crime, certain kinds of crimes such as trespassing or stalking or menacing or harassment, because there seems to be a misconception going around that people think they can do something just because someone else has done it, or because it's common, or because it's allowed out of context. Now, the context matters, and this is going to be an exploration of why it matters, how it matters, and what to look for in determining these kinds of crimes. So consider that people are allowed to go places. Obviously, they're allowed to visit places, public places, grocery stores, libraries, parks, whatever, unless and until the reason they're showing up is because somebody else happens to be there. For example, consider that you go to a place and then, somebody shows up as if by magic, and, maybe you have prior history with somebody, maybe you don't. But in any case, if the reason that person has showed up is because you're there, and even though it's difficult to prove, if that is their reason for showing up, rather than to use the facility or the service, that becomes a crime if they're not invited, if they are unwelcome by you. That's called stalking. On the same token, if you have an invitation to be on private property, if you have some kind of legitimate reason to be there, an invitation by the owner or the legitimate manager, you're not trespassing. Just being on private property alone does not constitute trespassing. So all of these examples have one thing in common, and that is the motive defines the nature of the activity, the spirit of what's happening, the actual reason behind it, the big picture and the context, again, define a crime. So it's not a simple matter of just looking at the snapshot, and this is the opportunity. People think, well, so-and-so did the exact same thing. So-and-so may have done the exact same thing. You have a point, but they did it for a different reason. If they did it for a different reason, one or the other person might have been improper. The reason matters, even if it's difficult to prove, especially if it's difficult to prove. And this is why, historically, we've had courtrooms, why we've had opportunities to explain in court before a judge or jury what exactly happened, what was the motivation, what was the reasoning behind it. Because, again, every single crime boils down to some kind of damage outside of a contract. But there has to have been either a contract or an absence of a contract involving multiple parties. Maybe that makes sense. So, in conclusion, in summary, just doing the exact same thing that somebody else did doesn't make it proper or improper. There's a bigger picture that you have to weigh in. You have to take into consideration the reasoning behind it. If you show up somewhere just because someone else is there, even if it's a public place, you are already committing a crime if that person has not invited you, if you're not welcome in that person's space. That's called stalking or harassment or menacing. These are all actual crimes in the books that can be weighed against you, leveled against you. So reach out if you like with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.